Hello.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, it says my audio works, but it says I'm not allowed to be on video.
Stand by.
Hello.
Hey, Jen.
Oh, you can hear me. I don't know what was going wrong, but I'm glad you can hear me now.
Good.
How are you?
Doing well, and you?
As well as we can all be right now.
I hear you on that. What a time to be alive.
Oh, for real.
All right, friends, you should all have your co-host privileges to put on your video.
Right.
Excellent. Jen, we see you.
Beautiful. Oh, I see the two of you.
Hello. Let me grab a lens wipe really quick.
I'm just closing out of everything since I'm sharing my screen. I don't need all sorts of notifications popping up and things.
I've heard Michelle's last name as Wierzak. I've also heard it as Wurzak.
I say Wurzak.
Okay, I saw Wurzak in the geez Louise.
I think she writes it phonetically for people. Because
yeah, and it said Wurzak in the bio, but I heard somebody said they heard elsewhere it was Wierzak. So I just wanted to be certain.
Oh, she should be here momentarily. I say Wurzak, but that doesn't mean I'm saying it right. So
there we go. The difference a lens wipe can make.
That's awesome. Oh, the little things.
Yes, we must savor them at this point.
Honestly, it's like life's little luxuries at this moment.
Friends, can you tell me, looking at your screen, I'm sharing the PowerPoint thing on my screen. Do you see, I also have another chat window open for another app. You don't see that, do you?
Nope.
Nope,
Okay.
I only see the program will be in shortly.
Wonderful.
It does show like the little arrows, the PowerPoint arrows at the bottom, just FYI.
Yeah, I think that's part of the Skype thing, or the Zoom thing. I don't think I can.
Yeah, I figured as much.
It's always so nerve-wracking sharing your screen when you have 8,000 other things open because you don't fully trust that Zoom is going to only share the screen you want them to.
Exactly.
That's why I asked. I'm always a little nervous.
Yeah.
So
Since
Jen, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, since I'm the one sharing my screen for this, because Michelle's been having internet connectivity problems, so I'm going to share my screen and then she's connecting on audio, so that way if her video freezes, it's not a big deal. But if anyone sees anything on my screen that shouldn't be there, please note it in the chat for me.
Jen, just as a matter of testing right now, can you share yours at the same time I'm sharing mine?
It says this will stop others sharing. Do you want to continue?
No, that's what I wanted to know. So as soon as we toss it to you, you take over and then this screen will go away.
Yeah, let me see if it'll actually let me do it.
Yep.
Did it?
Wonderful.
So you can see this?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, what we see the full Google window and not like the full screen presentation.
Yeah, I'll do it like this.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Michelle.
Oh, look at you. You're looking good.
Mm-hmm.
What?
You heard me.
No, I didn't.
I said you're looking good.
Good. Yeah, I clean up well.
Yeah, occasionally.
Hi, everyone.
Just kidding.
Hey.
Hey,
So what we'll do is this slide will be on until we go live. And then Jonathan's got one more slide as I introduce you both. And then once I introduce you, we'll take it away. We'll let you take it away. I'll turn my video off. And then I will turn my video back on only if questions are not being answered in that Q&A as we're moving along. Okay. As we talked about. So I'll give you a little while to, see if you can see it on your side as it's coming up. But if you can't, then I will just say, hey, it looks like we have a question. And then you know, and I'll turn my video on at that point. But
Where's the video?
What do you mean?
Where's the PowerPoint rather?
Oh, it's on my end.
Can you turn it on just so I see it?
Not yet, because what's on the screen now is what Jonathan has, and then it'll go over to my screen when he's done.
Okay, very good.
But we did do a test before you got on here to make sure it works.
And if during this there's any issues with Q&A or polling, just shout mine or Sabrina's name, and we'll, because I'm monitoring and controlling that on the back end on the NGLCC side. So if there's any issue. But for polling, for example, if you click that polling thing, you should be able to drop the menu down and go to surveys 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If there's any issue on that, I can do it on this end and launch it.
Okay. I can see all of the, I can see, okay, I see how you did it. All right, perfect. Yeah, I see everything, and I have the Q&A open. The one thing I can't see on my end when I have my screen shared is the Zoom chat itself. So,
well, we actually have that disabled for right now.
Oh, perfect.
Just for us as participants, but it's all for everyone else.
Okay. So I guess if I have anything, maybe Sabrina, I have iMessages open on my other window that I can just send you a message that way if I have an issue.
Yeah, feel free to text me. And Michelle, I don't think I got your number. So if you want to text me, that's fine. Otherwise, I will, just so you know, I won't be able to reach you.
70, you want my number?
Sure.
708-710.
Sorry, one second. 708-710.
7055.
7055.
What the hell was that?
I just called you, but ignored it. Ignore it.
Okay. I have to dial into the regular number, the webinar number. I'm going to shut off my, what the hell am I trying?
She's trying to say that she's going to get off the computer audio and get on the phone audio.
Line audio.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Which is why we went through this yesterday morning, just to be on the safe side because of the technology issue.
Jen, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
And I need to dial in.
Yeah, I would do that.
I just dialed Mongolia. 253. Webinar ID, anybody?
It should be.
Is it 976-6634-4594?
It would be in the email. Let me see.
Yeah, that's the number.
Yep.
But how can I be the keynote, the speaker?
I can turn your phone number on here.
Okay, could you do that?
You have not entered any numbers. Please re-enter the meeting password.
You have
I want to know the meeting password. Oh, 443378.
Mm-hmm.
You have joined the meeting as an attendee and will be muted throughout the meeting.
I'm muted throughout the meeting. I'm an attendee.
Hold on.
Yeah, he has to find your phone number in there, the 708 one. There you go.
Okay, got it.
We're getting a lot of reverb now, though.
You have to
You have to turn off your computer audio. There you go.
Nope.
No. Yeah, I would say when you're not speaking, you should have your phone muted because there's some reverb coming because the audio is coming through your computer. So you should probably just mute your, like, turn your volume down overall on your computer, and then you won't have that issue with the.
I just shut off my speakers on my computer.
Much better. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah.
There you go. We're set.
Excellent.
How many people have been coming to these?
We had about 76 last week and around the same the week prior.
Nice.
Welcome to all of our attendees joining us for NGLCC Webinar Wednesday. We've got many coming in at the moment, so we'll get started in about 5 minutes. Thank you.
Jen, will I see you?
Yeah, I'm on video now. Can you not see me?
No.
If you hit, there
Oh,
should be
here
like a
you
little
go.
gallery button in the top corner.
Yeah. Oh, I see you. Sabrina, that's what you look like.
Hey.
Hey. And where's the chat box? Or Jen, that's you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go. All right. I'm ready to rock and roll here.
To all of our new
Come
attendees
on,
who have just entered the queue, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be getting started in just a few moments.
can you hear me okay?
Yep. I don't know if everyone can hear us or not right now, so I'm going to stay silent. I'm assuming yes.
Yes, we're just letting everyone join us, and we'll get started in a few moments. Welcome to all of our new attendees.
How many are there so far? Oh.
Good afternoon to everyone joining us for our next installment of NGLCC's Webinar Wednesday, our ongoing program to connect the LGBT business community with digital resources and education throughout this social distancing period. We appreciate you all for joining us on this conversation today. Just a few housekeeping reminders that everyone is muted, but the Q&A feature will be utilized throughout the conversation.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. My name's Sabrina Kent. I'm one of our senior vice presidents at the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce. We are so thrilled today to have Michelle Wurzak and Jen T. Grace with us for our third installment of the NGLCC Webinar Wednesday series. We hope that you continue to join us as we continue to roll out new programming each and every week as it's a part of this series. So without further ado, thanks for joining us for the Butterfly Effect, Leading with Resiliency. It's my pleasure to introduce Michelle and Jen to you both. To start, it's no surprise that Michelle Wurzak, keynote speaker and author of the forthcoming book, Ass Kicking Women, How They Leverage Their Informal Networks for Success, has been dubbed by media as leadership solutions from the lady on the Harley. She promises that you will leave her solution-driven presentations with at least one passionate, life-transforming leadership tool. In her spare time, Michelle is a rider coach for Harley-Davidson's Motorcycle Riding Academy, and she has a master's degree in educational administration and leadership from Illinois State University, where she also earned her undergraduate degree in physical education and athletic coaching while playing volleyball on an NCAA scholarship. Jen T. Grace is a nationally recognized business strategist, speaker, and author. Guided by the mantra, change happens in business, Jen believes social change happens first in the workplace before spilling over into mainstream society. She's also been featured in Forbes, the Huffington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and CNBC. She's somebody that our president and co-founder at NGLCC often refers to as the living embodiment of what we look for in a certified supplier through NGLCC. Passionate about helping people share their stories of adversity, Jen is the founder of Publish Your Purpose Press, a publishing company that includes the PYP Academy with programs that teach aspiring authors how to publish their book. In addition to publishing 50+ books that share the stories of others, Jen has written 6 of her own. Welcome, Jen and Michelle.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, NGLCC world. Jen, it's a pleasure to be presenting with you as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm just getting my screen up here now. Hopefully everyone can see everything. Yes, we good? All right.
And welcome everyone to The Resilient Leader, the Butterfly Effect. Who would have thought millions of people around the world, especially in our country, would be laid off? Businesses shut down, schools closed, working from a remote office, our investments taking a major hit. We're all afraid to be close to one another, hug each other, or even shake hands. And once again, it's time for all of us to tap into our well of resiliency. Resiliency is not a nice skill to have. It is a must skill to have for leaders. Because of our changing world and our business models, bosses, and rules, the basic principles of resilience are critical for operating in this whirlwind of change that we're living in right now. And as you see on the screen, the definition of resilience is having the ability to recover from change or easily adjust to change or misfortune. So it's ability to recover and to adjust. And are you the resilient leader? Resiliency helps us to recover from the stress of all these changes. And my friends, we know we have been going through changes in the last 2 months, and we're going to face even more as we enter back into the work world, into our businesses. So in other words, how will we manage all of the new normals presented to us when we return to work? Let's take a step back for a moment and think about some of the most ridiculous things that would happen in our workplace over and over again. And over again, we, the resilient leader, we step in without hesitation to correct the situation, immediately adapt to the change, and all at the same time, we're demonstrating optimism and flexibility. That is the true resilient leader. We've done that a million times, not even thought about it. What about managing the employer or colleague that is defensive, exhausted, cynical, having difficulty adapting to the change? We're going to be facing this again and more. So today, Jen and I are going to take you on a journey where you are going to self-assess your resilient leadership and to maybe brush off some dust. But I have a major challenge for you. I get asked this question all the time. Can you develop resiliency? And I say absolutely, but are you willing to take on a major challenge? And the major challenge is, are you willing to change your views, your habits, your responses by modifying your thoughts and your behaviors and your actions? Today, Jen and I are presenting 5 core elements of resilience, core elements that will help you recover and adapt to all these changes and to help others adapt to the changes that are going on around them, because not everybody is going to be adapting as well as anybody else. So let's pause for a moment as we get started. I'd like for you to recall a moment in the past where you had no idea how you were going to move forward, or how you would make the best of something that felt completely unmanageable. Think about that for a moment.
And Michelle, do we want folks to use the Q&A area to post maybe something that they're thinking of in regards to
let's
responding?
do the Q&A area, everyone. Let's explore that area. Why don't you tell them where to find that, Jen?
There should be a Q&A in the bottom of Zoom. I believe there should be a Q&A option, and you should be able to post in there.
Post in there.
I was gonna say, I'm not 100%. So why don't we hop over into our polling questions, Michelle, while people are kind of thinking about your answer. Does that work for you?
Yeah, so think about an important moment in the past where you had no idea how you were going to move forward. For example, like mine was September 11th, when my meeting and event planning company completely collapsed. Everyone rolled up, stopped having events. Does that sound familiar? Isn't that what's happening today? So that, to me, I thought I would never, ever recover from. Well, long story short, I ended up rebranding myself as a speaker. But think about that moment for you when you thought something was completely unmanageable. Go ahead, Jen, with the poll.
All right.
Because
so
I'm curious to see where everybody is.
Yeah, so as we go through this, Michelle's going to do a lot of the talking around the slides that we have, and I'm going to be doing the polling and asking questions as we go throughout and kind of, providing insights that we're seeing as a result. So the first question that we have, let's see if I can get this to come up properly. Are there a number of questions showing on your screens right now? Because there should be a couple of questions here. The first obvious, the highest priority of a question is, are you wearing pants? Because we are obviously in an uncharted territory these days. So, we just wanted to start off with more of a fun question. I'm not sure if anyone is able to actually see this or not, though. If Sabrina or Jonathan, if you can confirm, that would be fantastic.
Yep, we can see.
You can see? Yeah.
Yep. So for anyone, feel free to answer the questions as they're coming up. So I'm not seeing that anyone has selected. Oh, here we go. All right. We're following directions. All right. We already have a few folks that say they don't have pants on. I like it. All right. And so while you're going through those, I'll read off the other questions. So the other one is, do you have an important moment in your past where you had no idea how you were going to move forward? And I'm curious for anyone who's responding yes, which seems to be everybody right now, if you're willing to kind of share that information in the Q&A. And then the next one, let's see, I just want to give people time because you can see them all at once. Okay. Let's see. So we have 67% of people are wearing pants. We're winning. Okay. So we got the majority. And 100% of people are saying that they had something in their past that they weren't sure how they were going to move forward on. And using the Q&A area, in a few words, what skills, abilities, resources, or coping strategies have you relied on to kind of get you through these hard times? And I'm really curious to kind of see what folks are saying in this Q&A. And then, of course, a simple yes or no here, are the same approaches that have been serving you now, do you feel those are going to serve you as well in the next couple of months? And it looks like the majority are saying yes at 88%. So Michelle, can you see the Q&A area as well?
Oh, yes.
All right. So we have quite a few experienced folks, and we have a couple that are not. So I'm hoping that the couple that do not have experience or something to lean on, that you at least walk away with one of the core elements, or hopefully all 5 of them, and be able to implement them in some way or work on them in some way. So, and for those who are experienced, like I am, and Jen and others, there's hope, and we're gonna conquer this
when throughout the session.
Mm-hmm. And so here's the polling results for everyone who wants to check it out. The
All
next
right, so
round, go ahead, Michelle.
Everyone found the poll, which is good. And go ahead, Jen.
So the next round, I will moderate the questions a little bit easier, so that way you don't have to be bombarded with all of them at once. All right,
Okay,
so
sounds
Michelle,
good.
let's hop on over to the butterfly effect.
Yeah, so when I was writing this blog and this article and the speech and the webcast, and I started thinking about the butterfly effect. You know, butterflies are a deep and powerful representation of life. Many cultures associate the butterfly with our souls. Some religions view the butterfly as a symbol of resurrection. Other people view the butterfly as representing endurance, change, hope, life. And the phrase, the butterfly effect, is a common metaphor used in chaos or crisis theory. So we're in chaos and crisis right now. And it simply means that from one small change, greater changes will occur, like the butterfly emerging from a small cocoon. That is the butterfly effect. And as a leader, you must ask yourself a tough question like, will you be able to endure the rigors of the butterfly effect? Will you be able to endure the changes that are going on and the additional changes and perhaps chaos, we don't know yet, in the future? The pandemic is one change we had to adjust to, but will you be able to adjust to all of the other changes that are forthcoming? Will you be a forward thinker? Will you be willing and able to help others to endure the rigors of the butterfly effect? So here are 3 strategies for you to help others in developing their resiliency. Are we at that slide? There you are. Okay, so the resilient leader helps others by listening and accepting their feelings. Okay, sounds easy, but people have different reactions to change, to chaos, to adjustments. So as a resilient leader, you acknowledge that resistance. You need to acknowledge it, that it exists within them, and accept the feelings without agreeing to the resistance. That's what a resilient leader does, okay? And you can say statements like, I can understand your concern. Of course, being authentic and genuine when you're making those statements. I can see that you're angry or upset or concerned, all right? And then the second step is uncovering the underlying issue with probing questions. Not a lot of questions, smart, strategic questions, such as, what does the person really want? By asking them, what do you really want? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to do? And then finally, the third step is responding to the underlying issue. You need to be, as a resilient leader, you need to be explicit about what you can and cannot do in response to that person's request. So if you have an employee that's suggesting some alternative method to what the company has decided to do, you suggest them to find alternative actions or ways to perceive the situation. You help them to look at things a different way, from the company way, from a return on investment method or way, all right? And finally, agree to get additional information if that is required. Sometimes you may not have the answers and you have to go back to people to get those answers. So as a resilient leader, there are a number of phrases and philosophies out there, a number of thought leaders out there that help us get through chaos and change. And one of them, I have 2 favorite quotes. One of them comes from my 90-year-old aunt and godmother. And she said to me on Easter Sunday on a Zoom call, I had her on a Zoom call for the first time, 90 years old. And I asked her, I said, Aunt Dorothy, have you ever seen anything like it? What do you think about this whole corona COVID-19 thing? And she said, this too shall pass. 4 simple words. And she went on to explain that she believes in hope and carrying on and moving on. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool, because she's seen quite a bit, wars and everything else, losing people to wars and illnesses. My other favorite philosophy or phrase is looking at change as, wow, there is new opportunity out there. And looking at the bright side of change rather than at doom and gloom. That's another one of my personal philosophies, is I'd rather look at potential opportunities ahead. So let's start at the beginning. When you eventually emerge from the cocoon, I'd rather call it a cocoon than quarantine, or mitigation is the other word. What changes will you be facing when you go back into your business, into the work world, into your world?
So Michelle, we have a number of really good comments in the Q&A area from our previous poll. There's just a couple of things. There's definitely a theme of, someone in here had said that they had a strong mother, and my struggles were not challenges, were not the same as challenges as hers, and kind of did what was necessary. And there was another one in here that I thought was interesting of, I just kept moving forward. So, trying to be patient with myself, accepting where I am, not taking on others' opinions or their positions, and just kind of plowing ahead anyway. And I think that's definitely one of a big pillar of resiliency right there, is that you just keep moving forward.
Yeah, you do what's best for you. And that's one part of the resilient leader. And the other part is to help others develop resiliency. There are people who are going to balk, who are not going to accept whatever you say, and you need to move on, but not to entirely dismiss them. You still want to, try to help people. That's what a resilient leader does. But I think that's very good advice, that comment.
Mm-hmm.
And what else do you have, Jen?
I want to hop us into our next round of polling questions. So there's going to be 4 that are going to appear on your screen in a moment. All of them are yes, no. So I will go through them one by one, and then I will read the results that we're seeing here.
Okay.
So are you going to develop or support changes in your organization when you return? So that's our first question. And will you have the courage to tap into your well of resiliency? I think that's an interesting word choice there, Michelle, of the courage to tap into that resiliency.
It is correct. Yeah, you have to be courageous. Yeah.
And will your eyes be open? Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Michelle.
It's easy to get down in the dumps and see the doom and gloom and the dark side. And it takes a lot of energy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And will your eyes be open to fresh perspectives? I think that's something to really be considering. I think many of us right now are just re-looking at every aspect of our lives in very different ways as a result of what we're dealing with right now. And so far, everyone's hitting yes. And then the last question is, will you be willing and able to help others endure the rigors of the butterfly effect? So out of everyone who is responding to these polls, we have 100% yeses on all of those fronts, which is fantastic. So you should be able to see the results.
The comments in the Q&A are beautiful. I have to say, volunteering, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I appreciate the honesty in here too, because someone posted that they didn't cope well and had a breakdown. And I think that's something that's really vulnerable to share, honestly. And there's some sense of resiliency there because you're on this call now and watching it. So you didn't completely give up. You're still here, despite what happened in the past, which is remarkable.
Right.
This is good stuff. All right, Michelle, would you like to move on into our next phase?
Yeah, we have a courageous group of people here. So, yay!
Surprising, yeah.
Okay, acceptance of change, my friends. Are we ready? So we hear this phrase all the time, change is constant. And to many, it evokes the feeling of fear. And why? Because we fear we're going to lose control. We're going to feel uncomfortable because we don't want to admit we have a weakness. After all, we've been successful for so long, so it's easier to ignore the way in which we operate rather than looking at ourselves to improve. So let's take a look at a change acceptance change acceptance cycle. And you'll see here on the acceptance cycle a number of levels. The cycle showcases the different levels of acceptance to change, ranging from shock to acceptance and moving on. And every person that you lead or that you meet, or every colleague within your workplace, or every employee that you have, everyone will be at a different level of acceptance of the change. And I know there was a question in there, what change are we talking about? Well, in particular, the virus, the COVID virus that will have changed quite a bit in business, in everything that we do, travel, airlines, offices, and I mean, we could get into a multitude of changes and conversations that we're going to get into. But the resilient leader accepts the fact that they're at one level on this cycle and that their other employees or colleagues are at a different level. And you need to take the resilient leader takes a serious look at what changes they can control. They can control within themselves and within the organization. The changes you can't control, the pandemic, shifting to a virtual work environment, downsizing, requires you to control your emotions. The resilient leader accepts change, adapts by controlling their emotions and their feelings. They stick to the facts. They stick to the situation. And then, in addition, like I said earlier, under the butterfly effect, they also help others to see change and adapt in a different way as well. And Jen, we have a poll for everybody here as well.
We do. This is one to do to go to the Q&A box for as well. But just in a couple of words, how do you accept change? I'm really going to be curious to kind of see how people respond. And Sabrina posted in our chat window that the anonymous feature has been turned on. So if you prefer anonymity in any of your responses, please do so. So we're really kind of looking for, how do you accept change, and, what does change look like? So someone posted kicking and screaming most of the time in terms of how do you accept change. I think that's probably a common response. Michelle, do you kick and scream when you accept change, or do you just roll right with it?
I used to kick and scream, and now that I'm at a certain age, I'm seasoned, and I'll be 61 in a couple of weeks. With wisdom, it doesn't pay to kick and scream when there's change. This particular situation, quarantining, staying at home for 2 months, I'm used to traveling, I'm used to being on stage, I'm used to meeting people and working on my book and this and that and blah, 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 blah. I'm so used to being go, go, go. And I have just sat back, not just, I am working, I love it, and I've adapted, and that comes, I think, sometimes with age and experiences too. How about you, Jen?
I feel like I finally got to a place where I just surrender. I've learned personally that kicking and screaming is not in my best interest, although that seems to be a common theme that's coming in the chat right now, where people are saying they're very reluctant, or there's a fear of the unfamiliar. Some are saying they pause for a second and kind of move on, and then also just becoming a little more pragmatic about it. For me, I read a book called The Surrender Experiment sometime last year, and it was just a remarkable book in terms of how much more the world can offer you, or the universe can offer you, when you just kind of surrender to what is actually happening around you. So for me at this point, I feel like I waste more energy by trying to fight it than if I just say, all right, I'm not going to be able to fix this. I'm just going to kind of go where I'm being taken, and be content as much as I can with that.
When you're kicking and screaming, you're making noise, so much noise that you can't see or hear the signs and symbols of new opportunities all around you. when there's a change or crisis or chaos going on. You can't hear.
Yeah.
You know, it's good to, okay, another change. Like my aunt says, this too shall pass. It's an opportunity to learn Zoom, to do this, to do that, to, as we saw in the comments here, I've joined, I'm volunteering, I'm doing this. These are things, people are doing things and taking time to pick up on opportunities that otherwise they would have missed by kicking and screaming or working 24 hours a day, you know, and always on the go. Like me, I'm always on the go, go, go.
Yeah.
It's been nice to be quiet.
And I think everyone has
So-
different coping strategies. So I want to make sure people don't feel like
Yes.
we're forcing anything upon them right now, that this is just kind of, you know, at least a cycle and a way to think about it. But there is a comment in here from Christy that I think is brilliant in saying that, you know, they strive to be positive and allowing themselves to be sad, angry, disappointed, and frustrated, but also setting a time limit with emotions. I love the idea of just setting a timeline around allowing yourself to feel all of the feelings. I think that is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, if you think that when I first heard about the virus, I'm all positive about it, I was crazy the first week, staying at home and all my speeches and everything being canceled, just like all of you, what all of you faced. I wasn't this perfect angel, you know. It took me over a week to get situated. So yeah, I think that's brilliant. It's so authentic too.
Yeah.
So
now
how's our poll doing?
We're doing so far so good. Let's move on into our next section of self-empowerment.
Yeah, self-empowerment is another critical component of being the resilient leader. And self-empowerment means we have to understand our strengths and our weaknesses and have a belief in ourselves. So again, you're doing an old-fashioned SWOT analysis, if you will, strengths and weaknesses, and well, the other side, opportunities and threats, mostly for business. But a resilient leader knows their strengths backwards and forwards, and despite what's going on around them, they are in charge of their emotions and behaviors because they lean on their strengths and they're constantly working on their weaknesses. If you take a look at this slide, again, there are a number of levels of self-empowerment depending on you know, and everybody that you meet, that you work with, that your next door neighbors, whoever, they're going to be all at different levels of self-empowerment. I won't do it. I'm not going to change. I can't change. I want to do it, but I can't change. And then they slowly grow to, how do I make that change? I'll try to make the change. I can do the change. I will do the change. Yes, I did it. I've adjusted. So it showcases the different levels of self-empowerment from refusing all the way to yes, I did. And once again, every person is at every different level. And as resilient leaders, it's important to know where we are on that scale and to know where others are. And if they need some work moving up on the scale, that is our opportunity to help them to develop new skills, perhaps get some resources to help them move along, whatever that may be. But again, your antenna is up to help others as well. So here's a question for you, my resilient leaders out there. Where are you on this scale? Do you know what your strengths are? Are you developing new skills? Because resilient leaders are always analyzing themselves.
Yeah, so I'm going to put up, in alignment with the question that you just asked, I'm going to launch the next set of polling questions, again, using the Q&A feature of, you know, in a few words, what are your strengths? And, you know, are you working on developing new skills? How are you feeling empowered right now? And, you know, what are you leaning on right now? So any one of those questions that you would like to answer in the Q&A would be fantastic. I'm kind of curious to hear how people are defining what their strengths are, as well as, you know, how are we taking those strengths and helping continue to build our resiliency during these times?
Mm-hmm.
So Steve is saying that from a strength standpoint, a positive view of the world and a glass half full kind of person. Yeah, I think that's a great
Steve.
strength right now. Mm-hmm. And someone is saying, you know, can I change this? If so, oh, hold on, my chat window's going crazy. Strength equals empathy. I love that. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And empathy equals developing patience. I think that's probably something that we're all perhaps lacking or trying to develop further is our patience right now.
Positive affirmations in the workplace.
Mm.
Learning more how to bring positive affirmations to the time into the workplace. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping focus on the long-term goal to get past frustration and anger about the current situation. I think that's also a really good one from a strength standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone want to comment about how they're feeling empowered right now? And I know I can just share while people are thinking about that. For me, I find that if I have a sense of purpose, that makes me feel empowered. And, you know, my company is called Publish Your Purpose Press. So purpose is something that's really important to me on an any day basis. But right now I'm feeling really empowered just by showing up and serving people in whatever way that looks like. So I've done a number of different, you know, I did a writing challenge for people working on their books. I'm starting a marketing challenge around books next week. And for me, you know, that makes me feel empowered because it's something that I can control, which is showing up and serving right now. So Steve is saying that he's feeling empowered because he enrolled in a class that focuses on online selling, and he's focusing on new product development like audiobooks, master classes, free webinars, etc. I think to me, those are kind of the great types of things to be working on right now is, you know, anything that can be planting the seeds for your business for a future date and time, since we're in such an uncertain time right now.
And Christy says, thinking ahead 3 to 6 months from now, not just about today. Yoo-hoo! And I know Christy. Hi, Christy. Welcome. But yeah, I think that's true. Being a forward thinker, thinking ahead. Not being stuck today.
Yeah, and Tammy's saying constantly seeking information and never stop trying to accomplish what they're working on. I think that's fantastic.
Serving and helping others. Yep. Drive, a strength drive, skills, learning to learn.
Yeah, these
nice.
These are definitely good. And I'm not surprised by this audience. I feel like as LGBTQ business owners in general, we have to have a certain level of resiliency just to show up, to, you know, to even get that seat at the table. It takes a lot of work and a lot of resiliency. So it's not a surprise that folks are really stretching those muscles around resiliency.
And which leads us into our next area. Are we ready to go into our next core element of a resilient leader?
We sure are.
Did we answer all the questions?
Yep.
Continuous learning, which is brought up by several of you and by Jen. Now is not the time not to learn. Now is the time to learn. Acquire new skills, and updating your skills is the heart of resiliency. Perhaps learning to work remote is new to you. Maybe that's the new normal, the new phrase, the new normal for you. There's great comfort and security with being familiar with your old self, but if you don't learn new skills, the odds increase that you'll feel less confident during a challenging situation. Take a look at the success you've had during the past year. What did you learn from that experience? What knowledge did you draw upon to help you with this experience? Because resilient leaders always draw on past experiences. And Jen, what have you learned in the last 30 days?
You know, something I wish I hadn't been learning, if I'm being honest, is QuickBooks. So, you know, as everyone on here, as business owners, we're all feeling the hurt from just the economic condition that we're all in. And I have reduced my team quite a bit for right now. And I know it's temporary. Everything will kind of bounce back. And I just have this faith that everything will turn out the way it's supposed to, even if it's painful for a bit. But I, unfortunately, have had to resolve to learning QuickBooks a bit more. And that is not my strength or superpower in any way, shape, or form. But it does, I don't want to say it gives me a sense of purpose, because it's not, but it's making me feel like there's something else that I can control. And that's controlling some of my cost. It's learning this thing that I probably, you know, I've been in business for like 15 years. I probably should have known how to use QuickBooks a little better before, but You know, for me, it's something just very practical like that. But I do know for a lot of people, you know, they're doing something very different right now in terms of what they might be working on or new skills that they might be learning. And Michelle, I'm curious if you added any new skills to your repertoire as well.
The discipline of finishing my new book that's going to be coming out.
Mm.
The discipline of finishing. I didn't say the discipline of writing a book, the discipline of finishing my book.
Yeah, that's
the skill I'm working on right now.
Yeah, that's definitely a big one. I want to hear
So
from,
close.
I know you're almost there. You'll be there soon. So, you know, I want those, you know, in the chat again to, you know, tell us what you're doing right now and what new learning opportunities are existing. And I want to also preface with, if you're not learning right now and you're just depleted emotionally in any way, that is okay too. I want to make sure that, again, it doesn't feel like we're forcing this need to learn on you right now, but rather, you know, this is just something to take into consideration. But if you're just not up for it, there's a lot of people who aren't up for it right now, and that's perfectly okay.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
Well,
cool.
Let's see. Anyone want to chime in? It doesn't look like we have anyone chiming in on this yet. Oh, here we go. All right, so we have, oh yeah, lots of stuff coming in now. All right, so QuickBooks. All right, Christy, I'm right with you on the QuickBooks. Zoom, board governance model. That sounds like fun.
Wow, virtual platforms is a big one.
Yeah, reading more books.
Mm-hmm.
Rock on, Ava.
Learning to learn.
Hmm.
Learning to learn.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I love Tammy's building relationships with organizations that can provide resources in times when there is not a crisis. That's a really awesome one. And, you know, everyone here is on this call because you're tied to NGLCC somehow, but I feel like this is a fantastic opportunity to be building those relationships and connections with both the folks at the national organization, but also your local chamber too. Like, now's the time to really be, you know, I think I'm a huge proponent of the chambers, but now is a great time to be really diving into that, because I'm seeing that a lot of chambers all across the globe are doing more online programming. So in a lot of ways, this quarantine is making things more accessible for more people. So if you couldn't have attended an event previously in the past because of a scheduling conflict, you know, there's certainly an opportunity now to be doing it.
Right. Mm-hmm. YouTube, what is that? Line dancing on YouTube.
That sounds like fun. That's awesome.
Different certifications.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned to build puzzles faster. Just saying.
No,
I've never really sat down to build puzzles and been quiet. So, you know, it's calming. It's like Zen, you know, it's
I love a good
quiet.
Puzzle. I get it.
Yeah. Okay, so how are we doing on our learning opportunities and conduct business development activities in this current environment? Excellent. Thank you for your participation. These are great comments here.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to another core element, our fourth core element of a resilient leader. And so far we've covered acceptance of change, self-empowerment, continuous learning. Now we're going to talk about continuous networking. Resilient leaders keep in touch with everyone and everything that is going on. Now is not the time to stick your head in the sand and not talk to anyone. You need to stay connected to your networks. I'm going to talk about formal networks and informal networks. Are you remaining connected to your formal networks? And to clarify, a formal network has an organizational culture and philosophy attached to it, usually a membership, a board, a mission statement, et cetera, and they're easily identifiable, such as chambers of commerce, hence NGLCC, associations, et cetera. Here are some examples of my formal networks. And a formal network for me is my family, because my family is so huge. Not only my immediate, my extended, but my extended family. And so when we get together for our big annual Christmas parties and events, weddings, et cetera, a great place to keep people informed there's a certain behavior that is expected with formal networks. So anyway, that is a different, and I'll explain informal networks in just a moment. So here are some examples. Are you calling your formal networks or emailing or Zooming your colleagues to check in on them? Are you listening to their needs? Are you giving information, leads, and ideas? That is what a resilient leader does. They listen to their needs of their network. And remember that resiliency and reciprocity go hand in hand, or reciprocity, same thing as giving and receiving. It's not only giving, and it's not only receiving. It's a balance of giving and receiving. Besides giving information, ideas, and leads, the resilient leader also asks for help and ideas and information. You need to have a balance. Sometimes, my friends, your colleagues or your friends out there in the work world may not need anything, but you picked up a phone, they heard a friendly voice, and it helped them get through a bad day, and you didn't even know it. And an authentic leader does not mind taking a few minutes to make someone else's day by simply checking in. Are you checking in on your colleagues and your friends within the work world and within your memberships? Okay. Now there's the other side of formal networks. We're well versed in formal networks. We're trained to join, to have memberships and be involved and serve on boards and committees, etc. The informal networks, though, let's talk about that for a moment. Are you staying connected with your informal networks? Informal networks are hidden and may be a group of, let's say, industry colleagues with a common interest, like a martini club. You all share interest in a martini club, and you all get together at the end of the day once a month. Or you have a shared philosophy of getting together to go canoeing wherever, or for a casual gathering away from the office. Other networks may be created through the people you meet while traveling, attending church functions, completing errands, or, let's go to the next slide, riding your Harley. I can't tell you how many people I have met riding my Harley Davidson around town and cross country. So, in the next slide, I have some other examples of my informal networks. Are you keeping them informed about what you're doing, about your current situation? And are you listening to them? Are you advising them? Are you asking them for help? Okay. Do not underestimate the power of informal networks, because you never know who they know. Resilient leaders are continuous networkers, both formally and informally, and they remain connected to their networks on a daily basis. Okay? So Jen, I have a question for you. What type of networking have you been doing while you've been quarantined? What kind of, in other words, what kind of butterfly effect have you created for yourself out there? I'm curious.
Well, in February, I started a Facebook group for LGBTQ business owners and professionals that's now over 600 people in it. And once we started getting into the quarantine, I have weekly happiness hours that are happening. And so instead of happy hour, they're happiness. So that way we're inclusive of all folks. And we have one tonight actually at 6 o'clock. And so to me, that's kind of informal networking. While yes, in a way, I think that group, we're going to do some more formal options here or there, but really it's just an opportunity to show up, have whatever your beverage of choice is, and just mingle with other people who are quasi losing their sanity in quarantine.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So Michelle, I know that we're already running a little bit behind on time. So I'm going to skip over the polling questions for this section so we can get into our sense of purpose. But I don't know if you want to elaborate any more on informal networks before we hop into the next section.
Well, I only wanted, I want to say that in my soon to be released book that Sabrina mentioned in the beginning, Ass Kicking Women and How They Leverage the Power of Their Informal Networks for Success, I interviewed hundreds and hundreds of women in my network and asked them how they, where they hung out and their informal networks that they hung out. Because informal networks are based on the objective of no rules, share advice freely, expand the network at will, keep it small, make it big. They inspire each other, achieve personal goals, help each other obtain business objectives and career advantages. And do not underestimate, again, I can't emphasize enough, the informal network. And there you see on your screen, creating the ass-kicking woman movement. And that is, women go out there, network, and tell people what your goals and aspirations are and help other women as well. And that's so critical. That's my message that's going to be coming out of my new book. So thanks for asking that.
You bet.
So let's move along to the fifth core element of the afternoon of a resilient leader, and that is called the sense of purpose. A sense of purpose signifies the direction you're going in, your aspirations, your motivation, your persistence. Being resilient is understanding what is your most important value to you, okay? And on the screen there, you're going to see some examples of values, which are courage, kindness, patience, integrity, gratitude, appreciation, forgiveness, love, growth, listening, respect, self-giving, or reciprocity. And there's a ton of other values out there. What do you do at work and or at home that reflects this value? Because a resilient leader's confidence is directly related to their sense of purpose. For example, my sense of purpose is love and passion. Whatever I do, whatever I engage in, I truly love what I do, whether it's delivering a speech, a webcast, or riding my Harley cross country, or hanging out with my dearest friends. I am absolutely, truly passionate and engaged, 100,000%. So my question for you is, do you reflect your value on a daily basis? So Jen, I have a question for you. What is your sense of purpose? When you get in the flow where you are so fully engaged and immersed in activity, you just can't stop, you know? What gets you in the flow? What's your sense of purpose? First of all, let's answer this question.
Well, I think going back to my company name being Publisher Purpose, for me, I feel like I'm in flow when I'm educating people, which I mentioned already, doing a 30-day writing challenge. And so that really just kind of anchored me into feeling like I'm helping and serving and that I have a bigger purpose. And honestly, it gave me a reason to get dressed every day. For example, I know we started this off and not everyone was wearing pants. So, it's one of those scenarios that if it weren't for that, it's giving me that sense of purpose is getting dressed, to be perfectly honest. And, I'm starting another 30-day challenge next week. So I will have 30 more days where I'm required to put clothes on. But, I think for me, it's just around educating and honestly protecting people. That's one of my big things, especially specifically in the publishing industry. It's just a really predatory industry in a lot of ways. So for me, it's, I'm in flow when I'm having conversations with people that are protecting them from something that they just don't know about yet, which is the education component. That's me personally.
Yeah, good for you. Christy says I'm dressed just in shorts.
All right. So I guess that counts.
Tell us that.
All right. That's
thank you.
Clarification.
Okay, so educating and protecting people. In other words, Jen is the mother hen of the publishing world. A good person to have on your side for that. So sense of purpose. Resilient leader understands acceptance of change, self-empowerment, continuous learning, continuous networking, and having a sense of purpose, knowing what your sense of purpose is. And not only knowing yourself, but being willing and able to help others achieve resiliency. That is at the heart of a true, resilient, authentic leader. And we have questions for them.
We do, and then we will wrapping up. So let's see if you should be able to see this. Again, just using the Q&A area, and we can spend a couple minutes on this. But how are you defining your purpose right now? And what is your sense of purpose? I always find these responses to this to be pretty interesting because I think purpose means something different for a lot of different people. And while you're thinking about that, I'm putting the Facebook group link in because someone asked how they get into the LGBTQ happiness group. So I'm dropping that link in right now.
Oh.
So you should be able to see it.
Okay, good. Excellent. Yeah.
Anyone and
Good.
everyone is welcome, so please. All right, so what do we have coming in, Michelle?
Nothing so far is rolling in. Come on.
Last time they all kind of came flooding in at once.
I
Right.
know, yeah.
Yeah, someone's stating that they're struggling right now to define their purpose. And
guess what? That's okay. If you're struggling with defining your sense of purpose, that's cool. And I have some advice for you if you want to take it. Go ask your best friends or the people who you respect the most.
Mm-hmm.
Ask them what you think your sense of purpose is, and you will get a truly honest response. I asked that question of some very close friends of mine years and years ago. And it was very helpful and has kept me focused for all these years.
Mm.
So you're okay.
Yeah. And there are folks in here saying, you know, their sense of purpose is when they're creating something, which I'm right on that same page with you on that one. My sense
Balancing
of
respect for clients and vendors.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes.
I truly feel like I'm in this world to help and guide others to succeed and realize their full potential. I think that's amazing. Making sure I continue to take care of my employees right now, which is also really good. And there's definitely a number of people in here who are saying that they're struggling. And honestly, right now, if there were ever a time to be struggling with anything, now truly kind of is that time. So I'm going to end this whole. Yep, Michelle.
It's normal right now. This is, you know, the kind of craziness we're in right now. But we're okay. There's hope. We're going to get to the end because my Aunt Dorothy said, "This too shall pass."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so my friends, we have this wonderful tip sheet to send to you. Leading with Resiliency tip sheet. Jen's got the instructions on the screen. Why don't you go ahead, Jen?
Yeah, so super quick, because I know Sabrina wants to close us out as well, but we created just a very simple tip sheet as a reminder for this. So if you open your phone and text to 33777 and just put butterfly in, it'll prompt you back to say, type in your email to confirm, and you'll be immediately sent the PDF. So if you're just trying to have a refresher of what's going on, then, you can more than welcome to get the tip sheet. So Michelle, we actually managed to get done right at the 5-minute mark. I'm a little bit shocked and impressed. Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to finish with, some people are struggling. They want to get to the other side of what's going on with the chaos in our world right now, in our country. Or with our businesses, our work, whatever that may be, there is hope. Remember, be an authentic, resilient leader and continue to work on the 5 core elements of resilience, which are acceptance of change, self-empowerment, continuous learning, networking, and sense of purpose, and help others. Go out there and be like the butterfly, a symbol of endurance, change, and hope. Thank you for being with Jen and I today in NGLCC. I think, are we opening up for Q&A or
Yeah,
no?
I think we have a couple minutes. I know Sabrina needs a minute or two to close out, but yeah, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A chat. And then also Michelle and I have our contact information on the screen, and Sabrina posted the Facebook group that I mentioned previously in the Zoom chat. So if there's anything that we can do to help you, feel free to reach out to us.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you both so much.
Do we want to open up?
Yeah.
Do we want to open up the Q&A?
Yeah. So, folks, we've got a couple minutes here. If you have any questions, I do see that Christy has asked if you could email her the tip sheet. Gus is asking, do you have tips on discovering your purpose?
Oh, that's such a good one. If you email me, I have a video that I can send you that it would be too hard to try to find right now that I can share around kind of purpose. Mm-hmm. Having a definite purpose right now is important. Creating a concrete action plan, said Cynthia. Yeah, I think that's really helpful right now. I think when you have your purpose sorted out, it's like you have a North Star that's kind of guiding you through all of the star is always there despite all of the chaos around us.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't look like many other questions are coming in, but as I said, I'm happy to be a resource in any way. So feel free to reach out in whatever way makes sense for you. And thank you, Sabrina and Jonathan, for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much. We are feeling so centered and focused on our purpose and leading with resiliency. And so we can't thank you both enough for sharing your expertise here with this awesome group of attendees. Folks, you see the emails for Michelle and Jen on the screen here. But if you don't have the time to get those down or you forget where you placed them, just feel free to email us at webinars@nglcc.org and we'll put you in touch. I do hope that you'll stay tuned and get registered for next week, April 29th, again, the same time, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern. Brian Gorman will be hosting Adjusting Your Anchors, Regaining Stability and Control in the Age of COVID-19. So as you can see, we're trying to keep our topics complementary, and what better way to move from leading with resiliency to adjusting your anchors. I also want to make note of the NGLCC LGBT Sip and Pitch Fridays program. Our inaugural program is going to take place this Friday, April 24th, from 3 to 6 p.m. We'll have 3 contestants pitching from 3 to 4, another 3 from 4 to 5, and then 5 to 6 is community conversation. Pour a drink, grab a coffee, come sit down and have those moments that we were just talking about engaging with your network and finding a space to connect and grow. You also have the opportunity to hear from our amazing corporate judges as they help guide the pitching companies on growing their businesses and scaling their pitches and getting ready for whatever our post-COVID world looks like. If you want more information on that program, you can visit nglcc.org/sipandpitch. Otherwise, I'd like to give another big thank you to Jen and Michelle. Thanks so much for being here with us, and everybody have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Be resilient.